What's up, gamers? We are back, and today it has been a while. I just went on a trip, which is the reason I haven't got a lot of content in lately. And today we're going to be going over the best special weapons in Destiny 2. So, let's start off with Succession. Succession is an incredibly hard-hitting 72 RPM sniper. It's an aggressive frame. It starts with 3 in the magazine, even though most people will put a backup mag for 4. The big perks here you're going to want are reconstruction, and like Vorpal will work, or I can't seem to... recombination. There we go. Yeah. And there is both a brave version of this weapon and the weapon that comes from Deepstone Crypt. You can choose which one you want based on the perks. The Into the Light one is a little more updated though, so that's the one I would personally recommend. And it is just a incredibly hard-hitting sniper that was my go-to for a while. Its DPS is pretty good. Takes out majors real nice. Just feels good. Yeah, so that was number 10. Going on to number 9, we have a legend, an ignition code. This would have been a lot higher on the list way back when in its prime, but it's still an incredibly powerful weapon utilizing the slide shot. This is one of the only or actually, it might be the only grenade launcher that can get slide shot. I might be wrong on that. I don't know if that's true, but I know it's at least one of the only ones who has the possibility of getting this. The reason why it's so meta is because it just dominates over Slideways. Slideways basically does the same thing as Slide Shot, except it has a cooldown. With Slide Shot, you can shoot, slide, up to like 12 times when it will just deny you from sliding again. It is one of the best grenade launchers, or even the best grenade launcher for just all-out grenade spam. And it's one of the best disorienting grenade launchers you can get in the game. It's pretty devastating, and it's used for some cheesy strategies and some raids too. Like Vault of Glass. Yeah, if you know, you know. But yeah, it's super spam-worthy grenade, and it just feels really nice. It's a favorite of so many different Destiny YouTubers, and you guys should really get your hands on one if you don't have it. Next, going on to number 8, we have Indebted Kindness. A hugely powerful rocket sidearm, which is used for ad clear. With its utilization of Volt Shot, you can get a kill, reload, which has a pretty good reload speed, and then just kind of spam those Volt Shots. And since it's a rocket sidearm, it'll hit pretty hard, has good ammo economy, especially if you're using lead from gold, but you could also put beacon rounds there if that's your style. And it's just a really good use weapon, can take out majors, can take out ads. It really feels nice. The one problem with this thing is it's kind of hard to farm from Warlord's Ruin, but that's literally the only problem. It would have been higher on this list probably last season, but now there are a few weapons that have power creeped it. Still huge weapon though. If you don't have it, oh man. I know it's rough, but go farm it. Alright, moving on to number 7. We have the Wastelander, an iconic 30th anniversary sniper that is mostly known for 1-2 punch. It hits very hard. It's a lightweight frame for that extra movement speed. It can get good perks to go with it, like lead from gold for ammo economy. That's one of my favorite roles. And it really, if you're going to use a 1-2 punch shotgun, I can't imagine myself using any other weapon but this. It just packs a serious punch, and if you don't have one, I would suggest getting one. Why do I have that on there? Yeah, I would suggest getting a Wastelander. This thing is awesome. Going on to number 6, we have a legend in the community of Forbearance. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys aren't surprised that this thing made it onto the list. It is basically known for being the best ad clear weapon this game has ever seen. Its utilization with chain reaction is the big thing with this weapon, but getting Ambitious Assassin really is the icing on the cake. Just get those kills, reload, have 2 bullets in there, and then spam for even more kills, more reloading. Why is that on there? Quick access. Yeah, just all around spam grenade launcher. It feels amazing. It could get, if you got a Brave version, back when Brave versions were still available and Into the Light, you could get 4 different perks on the weapon like I have here. I have a God Roll with a couple extra perks just in case I wanted to switch. Really add some versatility to the weapon. And this thing is also, this is another weapon just like Succession that you could also get from the Vow of the Disciple raid. So if you like the perks on the raid weapon a little better than on the Brave Arsenal version, you could go and get that. And also, the raid version does have an Adept version. So if you want the Adept weapon, go for that. But I would personally suggest the Brave Arsenal version, as it's just easier to get, Vow of the Disciple being one of the hardest raids, so not really easy there. So, yeah. Honestly, last season, before its chain reaction nerf, I think this would have been in top 3, easily. But with that nerf and also some power creep from other weapons, it's knocked it down to number 6. So, yeah, if you don't have one of these, go get one. Let's go on to number 5, being an absolute tank of a weapon. That is Scatter Signal. This is one of my all-time favorites, and it was very easy to get. If you didn't get one, I really do feel bad for you. It came from Season of the Wish last season. I do believe it is still acquirable in certain missions. I would have to research that. But it is known for its role of overflow controlled burst. It is craftable, which is really nice. It was really easy to farm last season, and it hits so hard. It rapid fire frame really does benefit the weapon, plus controlled burst, giving it a really, really easy damage buff. And overflow enhanced can even overflow every single bullet into the magazine if you do it right, meaning that you'll never have to reload, and controlled burst will constantly be procced, giving you some pretty awesome DPS with a legendary special weapon. If you don't have this thing, you really need it because it is a monster. Going on to number 4, we have the Call. The reason Indebted Kindness was a little bit lower on the list was because of this thing. It's quite the monster. Although it doesn't quite have the ad clear possibilities that Indebted Kindness has, it does have a lot more build potential, with Dealer's Choice being a very good origin trait, and you can get like Hatchling and other ability-based perks on this weapon, and it can get some similar roles to Indebted Kindness as well, like beacon rounds. It's just a more versatile weapon, plus its strand, which has some build potential. Also, it's the only rocket sidearm in the first slot, so if you already have something in the second, it is a very good thing to pair with it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Very good weapon, really easy to farm from Pale Heart. Go get yourself one. It is craftable. It's a great sidearm. Let's go on to number 3, in one of the first of 2 weapons that I don't have on this list, being... Where are you? Divinity. Huge weapon. Very, very well known. It is basically the pinnacle of support weapons, making a huge precision bubble around your enemy. It is incredibly effective in what it does. Even though it did get a nerf, it still is very, very good. That bubble will make you, like, if you put this on, no one will complain in your team. Everyone will love you for being the div user. And if you're a warlock, you can put on your aircraft carrier helmet and just beam people with this thing, and it can actually be pretty effective in that way. And it is just a very, very good trace rifle that really helps your teammates, and yeah, you can even build around it to make it do decent damage as well. And yeah, it's basically the pinnacle of support weapons. It's incredibly good. The only problem with this weapon is that it comes from Garden of Salvation, which is basically the most useless raid. If this weapon wasn't there, that raid would be basically useless because its loot is just not very good. But Divinity, as I've been saying, is, if you're going to do Garden of Salvation, make sure you have the quest for this thing. Go and get it. I haven't. I don't know how to do Garden of Salvation, and neither does, I don't think, anyone I know. So, if I had the chance to get it, I would, but I don't. Going on to number 2, we have a legendary, hard-hitting destroyer in Izanagi's Burden. What do I even have to say for this thing? If you're using this thing, you're probably a DPS warlord. It is known for being one of the best DPS weapons in the game and having a good swap rotation for DPS phases. This thing can really get in insane numbers. That catalyst boosting every single... The whole purpose of this is boosted with its catalyst. If you don't have its catalyst, you really need to go get it. Yeah, this thing is really known for its DPS. You fuse all your bullets into one massive shot. Shoot it, like, it goes really well with a bait and switch heavy. And you can just dish out insane numbers with this thing. It's kind of ridiculous. And before I get to the number 1 spot, let's do a couple honorable mentions, starting with Arbalest. Huge weapon, known for its shield breaking capabilities, right alongside Wastelander. It is one of the best weapons that can stun a barrier champion. It's super easy to stun with this. It's built around breaking shields with Disruption Break, and it's intrinsic. Plus, with the Catalyst, you get Genesis, another thing with breaking shields. It is an all-around shield destroyer, and it just really feels good. And the reason it probably didn't get on the list is because if there isn't shields in the activity you're doing, the weapon is basically useless. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. It's meant to destroy anything with a shield, but if it doesn't have a shield, it's not really effective. So, that's probably the reason it didn't make it on the list. Next, for honorable mentions, we have the Tusk of the Boar. The reason this didn't make it on the list is probably because of Forbearance, the huge ad clear potential that it has. Tusk of the Boar basically has the same purpose, also utilizing Chain Reaction, Ambitious Assassin. The thing is, Forbearance, especially last season, was much easier to get than this. This thing coming from Iron Banner. And as all my PvE mains can probably vouch for me when I say this, playing Iron Banner when you play PvE is not fun. I'll just say that right now. So, farming for this is Not exactly the greatest thing, but it is a very good weapon. It cannot get the double perks either. It doesn't have an adept version like Forbearance does, so Forbearance is really just the reason that it kind of knocked this thing off the list, but it still is very good ad clear potential. People were actually using it with Deconstruct last season. I never really knew how that worked, but if you can get that to work, that's cool as well. I just think Forbearance is the greater weapon, but this thing, if you don't have a Forbearance and you don't want to go and grind one, maybe you're a good PvP player, go grind for this thing, and it will do pretty much just as well. Next, honorable mention is Ergosum, the only special ammo sword that is acquirable in this game. Also having random rolls, having intrinsics from different exotics, with a newly added catalyst from Grandmaster Excision. It gets random rolls for blades, guards, and its weight, and its frame, and its intrinsic. It gets intrinsics of other exotics. So, like, I have Arc Conductor, that's from Risk Runner. It can get multiple different things. You can really make a build around this weapon by what it does. I have a Wave Sword frame, but you can get any frame that's in the game, even from, like, weapons that you can't have on your class, like an aggressive frame or a lightweight frame. Hunters and Titans exclusively will not anymore with the Ergosum. And it's just a very powerful weapon if you need a sword but don't want to pull out a heavy one. You have like a heavy weapon for DPS. This thing is really your go-to, and it can get some pretty interesting build potential with all its different things that you can make into it. It's very interesting, and you really should go get your hands on one. It basically just comes from the Final Shape campaign. That's really it. For the last honorable mention, we have the second weapon that I don't have on this list, being the Navigator. This weapon was used in a lot of strand builds, its catalyst being the big thing here, adding a grapple point, which will infinitely refund your melee. This also has support potential. Shooting your allies grants woven mail to both you and the person you're shooting it at. The problem with this weapon, and the probable reason that it didn't make it onto the list, is the fact that on its own, without having an ally or without having the catalyst, it's really not a great weapon, just being kind of a generic trace rifle. All it really do is sever the target. Its big thing that made it so wanted by players is the fact that with its catalyst, it can create that grapple point, and Strand Titans utilizing 1-2 punch can deal horrendous, scary amounts of damage to bosses, where that's probably the reason Titans are really not good this season, is because they were so powerful last season utilizing weapons like this, but it still is a super tanky weapon. Putting on Strand, you can chain grapples on an enemy, like let's say you run out of ammo in a damage phase, you could just go up, place down a grapple point, and start spamming grapple melees. Deal pretty good damage with that. It's a really good alternative use weapon. You can, as I said, get support. It's pretty nice, but it is a little strange, I'll just say. And for the number one weapon on this list, you guys have probably already assumed this, and I honestly hate to say it because it's really hunters that make the huge damage potential out of it. Still Hunt, the Golden Gun Sniper. Who was surprised that it made it onto the number one? It is literally topping the damage charts, and it is basically a requirement for Salvation's Edge raid. Basically, on rally banners, it gives you a second golden gun. And if you're a hunter, it can be used with Celestial Nighthawk to pop 2 golden guns and then get 6 headshots with this thing. Pop another golden gun. If you're efficient, you can pop like 4 to 5 golden guns in one damage phase. And basically with this, you can deal 1,000,000 damage in the first 10 seconds of the damage phase. That's how powerful this thing is. And with the Witness having a huge crit box, it is basically a requirement for Grandmaster Excision and the Salvation's Edge raid, having easy to get golden guns. And it is basically the reason that hunters are so dominant in the final shape, is this weapon right here. But not only is it dominant on hunters, it actually is a pretty good weapon as well on other classes. Still gives you those golden gun shots, give you 3 chain, pretty good damage with that. It's basically a second super, although it's not quite as good as like your supers on a different class, but still is a very effective weapon, still has build potential. It's just, it is so dominant on hunters that nothing can even really compare to it. So, that'll be all for this list. I thank you guys for watching. And before I end the video, I need to give a shout out to Barack Obama Official, Mayan, Misfit Campo, and Zelsius. They got me through the Vault of Glass raid. That was my second raid completion ever. Yes, I'm not a raid player. I'm a dungeon player, definitely. I have 13 clears on Spire of the Watcher. But anyways, yeah, I gotta give a shout out to them. They're very, very good players. They got me through a huge mission. They also got me through multiple Grandmasters. That's where I got this thing right here, the Scintillation Adept, as well as a Uzume R4 Adept. They really helped me out, and I gotta give credit to them at least in one video, because, yeah. Alright, that'll be all. I'll see you guys later. Have a good day. Bye.